issue of the pump price of petrol and the impact that's going to have on Nigerians. We're looking at the impact of the increase in pump price on the cost of living. And we have joining us now an economist, Mr. Bamidele Ayemibo. Mr. Bamidele, thank you so much for joining us today. If you can hear me, Mr. Bamidele.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning. I can hear you.
Oh, great, great. All right. It's no longer news that Nigerians will now have to pay more for petrol to drive their cars, to run their businesses, to do whatever else that they need to do, knowing fully well that Nigeria's economy thrives so much on independent source of power. And of course, transportation is also very critical, even to the agricultural sector. You know all of that already. First and foremost, let me ask you about what you see happening with this, and do you have an idea that this will happen at this time?
Oh yes, because we are importing crude oil. Sorry, we are importing PMS. We are not producing locally. There is devaluation. We need dollar to import. So two major issues we are going to face: the exchange rate volatility and the oil price volatility. So it's not like you left a ship without rudder on water, just floating and going wherever the wind blows. That's exactly. So I'm not surprised at all that this will happen. What I'm surprised at is the fact that we were not ready or adequately prepared for it, because this issue, this devaluation, the removal of subsidy and devaluation happened last year, over a year ago. So by now, we expect that there should be a year is enough to have put enough palliative in place to be able to minimize the impact on the people. But that this will happen, I mean, anybody within the economy that know what is going on know that this is this is expected, and it might get worse. But maybe we might be able to now begin to see some respite, at least in stability of the price, because of Dangote refinery. Stability of the price does not mean the price will come down significantly, but probably stability, so that if there is a change in exchange rate valuation will not affect it, but definitely crude oil price will still affect it, unless the government is going to be covering the gap. Because I heard NNPC will be the sole buyer and then distribute. So if they're able to cover that gap, maybe we might be able to see some stability. But for that, we probably will be seeing it a lot worse than this.
All right. I don't know whether to smile or to cry, but this definitely...
It's a painful one. Everybody's feeling the pain, so...
All right. Because already as we speak, transportation, we're here in some parts of Lagos, I've got up to as much as 150%, above what it used to be. And I'm sure that today it will be worse, because I'm sure if you go into the market today, you would find out that it's becoming, the value of the money that you had with you just yesterday in the morning is going to be different from what you can get with that same amount of money today. So it's going to have impact, on the lives of Nigerians across. Earlier on the show, we talked about how schools, for example, would then have to manage transportation of their students, their children that they pick from the various houses, and that means they have to also, look at how to fuel those vehicles. So it's going to how do I say it now? How much of impact is this policy going to have from the point of view of an economist?
Of course, I'm a trade specialist, not an economist. I notice you mentioned that I'm a trade specialist, but with a lot of interest in the economy. Now, increased transportation costs. You have mentioned that already, increased transportation costs. And the challenge is because so many things rely on human being moving up and down. Economic activity relies so much on it. Then we see it cascade to a lot of other areas. We've seen increase in food prices. Now, we've seen the last report on inflation saw a slight decline. I don't expect to see that this month. So the inflation is going to increase again. We expect, because of the food inflation, we expect that to increase significantly again. Now, the other painful thing is the fact that this is going to further reduce the disposable income of the people. I mean, some organizations have been able to do some increase in salary or allowances to be able to push in the effect. With this now, it's like you are getting it and it's being taken out. You are getting it, it's being taken out. You are getting it, it's being taken out. So we expect a very, very significant reduction in disposable income. That is, if there is even a disposable income in the first place. Now, businesses are going to have enormous increase in their operating costs. And because businesses they relate with their services and products are going to be purchased by consumers. For businesses that they are selling products or services that are still in demand by the people, in which people will still demand for them no matter how expensive it is, they will have to pass the price across to the people. But for businesses that will not be able to, because there's a limit to how much you can keep transferring prices, if the people feel your price is too high, they will find alternatives. And we've seen people finding those alternatives. The implication is that if the operating cost of business become too high and it become unprofitable, it's either the business lay off staff to reduce costs, or the business eventually might have to close shop. So we might begin to see more and more unemployment. And the implication of that on insecurity in the country. In fact, the impact on the economy is going to be far-reaching, probably more than what we've already seen happen in the economy right now.
All right, Bamidele, in the course of this conversation, we hope to break down various sectors and the impact this price regime on fuel is going to cause. But one of the frustration of Nigerians, if you talk to Nigerians about the whole situation of fuel price increases, one of the major frustration of an average Nigerian is the fact that we have 3 refineries which are not working. And even further, you have a situation where the management of NNPCL have frequently told Nigerians that at some point in time, this refinery will work, refinery will work, and it appears that all of that is not happening yet. So where does this leave Nigerians at the end of the day?
One of the challenges in our country is that sometimes we allow politics to mix with every area of our national life in such a way that it then discolor or make blurred the taking the right decision, such that when you take a decision, people read meaning to it. There's no reason why the NNPC management should still be in that position. There's no reason why. I think they've given, in the final, we start working, I think in December, it didn't start, August, it didn't start, and the person is still on the street. Those kind of action make them to be, it's like, look, there's nothing that will happen, even if we are not able to do it. And quite frankly, that's why what Dangote has done is of paramount importance. It has demystified the way they paint the mystery around the oil industry, the way they tell us it's like this thing, it can't be solved or it can't work in Nigeria. Now a man has been able to work with a team and get it done. And that's why I'm not surprised they are saying that they are looking for, I think for Warri and Port Harcourt Refinery, they are looking for private organization to come and manage it, which should have been done long ago. Because the reason is because the way the organization, the management of those organizations are currently constituted, there are power blocks that don't want that to happen. There are people feeding fat from the process. Unless a private organization, just what Dangote has done, because if a organization come in, he has a mandate, he's also going to make money from it, he has a responsibility to fulfill. He knows if he doesn't perform, he's going to lose this opportunity. They will do everything possible to be able to get done what they need to do. So it's a good decision in my opinion. I hope it will work, because we must be able to see, okay, you are thinking, and this is a decision you are taking to be able to solve this problem. It's coming too late, but it's better late than never.
Do you see a possibility where if this prices increase, and then thankfully Dangote has rightly said he'll be rolling out products within the next 48 hours. We're waiting on that to see what happens. But then if we seem to run into any form of roadblock, do you see the possibility of some of our marketers who before now used to smuggle our product across the Nigerian borders, do you see them going to those countries to buy and bring into the country? Do you see anything like that playing out?
I mean, that's That for me is going to be normal, because if Nigerian price now become higher, it's going to be the reverse. Currently, Nigerian price is lower. That's why you see the smuggling, because they are able to sell at a higher price. And it's like we are subsidizing our neighbors. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nigerian price becomes very high and then they are low. I don't see that happening anyway, but if that happens, then of course I expect that will happen. That will happen, because at the end of the day, the same people who are taking it out are going to have to bring it in to be able to sell at their price. It's all about arbitrage. As long as the arbitrage opportunity exists, they will definitely take advantage of it.
Babidele, help me understand this before we move back to Hakeem. We have a situation where, like the report we had from Abuja, I was hoping we'll show that, but you discover that in Abuja right now, only NNPCL filling stations, those are the only filling stations where you have queues, and that's the only filling stations where people that seem to be dispensing at the lower price. Could this also be some sort of deliberate strategy by the NNPCL to make more money? Because as much as the refineries aren't working yet, they are posting huge sums as profit. I mean, that was in the public domain a couple of weeks ago. Could that also be some sort of conspiracy? Because one is keen to start thinking in that line as well.
The fact is that the price of these products is going up because of exchange rate issue. So definitely the price is going up. I think the only thing NNPC can do, because of their financial muscle, they can be able to sell at a little lower price than the other marketer. I don't think that is what is going on. I think NNPC is just trying to make more money. Of course, they will make money from this to be able to cover some of the costs they already incur. It's like, I've subsidized for you. Now let me get some of those money out to be able to pay the people I'm owing. Maybe that is what is going on. But I'm not sure it's a deliberate effort to be able to do what you're talking about, but rather a way of making some money back to themselves to be able to pay the people that they are owing. And like I said, the only light at the end of the tunnel, if I will put in this case, is the fact that we have a stability. And like I'm repeating the fact that a stability in price because of Dangote. If Dangote is going to be buying in Naira and then be able to sell in Naira to Nigeria, we might be able to have some respite on stability of price. But on it coming down, which is why everybody's eagerly waiting for that price, I don't see it coming down significantly. In fact, I'm suspecting that because they already have an idea of the price they will have to sell Dangote on, this is necessary, creating this artificial scarcity. Maybe when now the fuel is available and the price is higher, people will say, okay, at least it's available. Okay, we can buy at this price. Maybe it will not come down a little. Maybe that's what is happening. I mean, maybe a bit similar to what you are talking about, but the only respect, like I said, unless of the end of the tunnel, is the fact that we'll probably begin to see some stability in price going forward.
Of course, I've also read analysis in that direction. Some people think that this is all, planned out. This is like a script, because I remember one of the papers even today reported that, Dangote refinery is rolling out products, and at the same time, the price of the pump price of petrol is being increased. So it looks like, for all some scripts and some people really sitting down to decide where we want to go. One of the issues that have been raised, and you also raised it in your comment a while ago, about the fact that products are being smuggled out of Nigeria and sold for more outside Nigeria in other neighboring countries. And the question for me will be that, isn't that a failure of the state? If the state is not able to protect its borders and people are earning salaries to ensure that, the state is properly looked after, why should Nigerians be the ones to suffer for the failure of the state?
You have just nailed it in the end. My concern from day one when subsidy was removed. Number one, people are smuggling out of Nigeria. Smuggling is a crime. Some people are paid to police the border to prevent this from happening. The government is unable to stop it. the impact on the economy is damaging. So to stop it, we punish the citizen for it. It's unreasonable for me. In fact, I was asking myself, so is it that the state is so powerless that the people are smuggling and we can't stop them? Can't we arrest these guys, bring them to book so they can be as a deterrent to others? Those are the questions I'm asking myself. Because quite frankly, energy subsidy it's not a Nigerian thing. In developed country, they will subsidize energy. Why? To help manufacturer, to help production. So the only challenge with our own subsidy is that we are subsidizing corruption. People are claiming subsidy for what did not come into Nigeria. We are subsidizing for our neighbor. And these are things that audit can be done about it. Solution can be profiled. But with the instead of solving that problem, it seems to me that the cartel within that space are bigger than the state. That's the only explanation for this. If not, we shouldn't be punished for people that are smuggling, for people that are making our subsidy rate to be high.
Bamidele, quickly, sorry to interject, Bamidele. I just need to put this in. You know that the federal government also is talking big on renewable energy as well. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, the federal government signed an MOU with the Chinese government on the production of electric tricycles and all of that. So the government has been talking so much about renewable energy. Now, there's also a conspiracy theory that this could be another means to ensure that Nigerians move away from fossil fuels, which we're used to renewable energy. Can you make sense out of this?
I'm not sure that opinion will be right. And the reason is this. Even the advanced countries are setting 2030, 2040, setting a long target to be able to get away from this. Is it we developing an underdeveloped country that will say we want to come out of it now? This is a gradual process. It's going to take a very long time. Remember, we have a very large population. It's going to take a very long time for us to. What is being done is good, it's okay. We need to begin to move away from fossil fuel, but we also know that moving away right now is not going to be something we'll be able to do completely. After all, majority of the cars being used in Nigeria are fairly used, and they are all on fossil fuel. Most new cars, all cars that will run on CNG or that will run on electric power car are all, majority of them are mainly new cars. So I don't see if majority of guys in Nigeria rely on fossil fuel. Even if we want to move, those people are not going to change their car immediately because they don't even have the money to change the car right now. So we're going to continue with this for a very long time. But this is a step in the right direction because we definitely need to protect the environment, and we need to begin to take steps that will reduce the green gas emission in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much indeed. It's quite a very complex situation in the country, and I'm sure that, so in the circumstance, I know that manufacturers, for example, have also, the critical stakeholders in the economy, and they have also made some positions in terms of the types of relief that they would need to be able to produce and stay in business. Of course, we hear that quite a number of manufacturers are actually, leaving the country. In the circumstance, what type of engagement would you like to see with manufacturers to ensure that this increase is able to manage it and then still able to stay in business?
It's important, and that's actually, I think, the conversation we're having, discussing different ideas on how to solve this problem and working with government to see that this is done. For manufacturing, we definitely the agency on consumer protection is trying to do, I think, is a step in the right direction. I saw a message last week, I don't know how true it is, that Abuja Sugar talked about the fact that they are selling their cement at 3.5, but some of the distributors or retailers are selling at 7,000, 8,000. That need to stop. That need to stop. Meaning that some of the increase in price, there's increase in price, no doubt, there's inflation, no doubt, but some of them are really artificial, some of them are unnecessary, some of them could be reduced. So that kind of decision, I think it makes sense, particularly for product manufacturing in Nigeria, in which the prices can be traced from the manufacturer, and then it becomes a lot easier to moderate some of these prices. I think that's a step that needs to be taken. The mass transit, if Nigeria have an effective mass transit from rail to public buses, we probably will not be able to also feel the impact of this too much. A lot of talk about CNG. The fact is that there is not enough disposable income to convert your car to be able to do CNG and then to be able to now go and be buying the gas. We don't even have enough stations for the gas yet, even though a number of them are coming up. But even to be able to convert, the cost of that also is a challenge for a number of people. So these are the so if government can come up with an opportunity to be able to help, if I'm going to convert, maybe and that's the kind of subsidy I even expect, a subsidy that government can trace. That, okay, this car, for you to convert, instead of paying this amount, government is subsidizing to this amount, so that at the end of the day, people can be able to convert to CNG and be able to reduce the cost. So those kind of initiatives to be able to ensure, and of course, what NNPC is trying to do also make a lot of sense, but more importantly is to be able to say how to help manufacturers, because if that is not done, we're going to keep increasing unemployment and inequality, and of course insecurity in the country. They definitely need support at this time to enhance their production, to support them in such a manner that they will not be increasing. We have to restructure rather, and reduce their employment level, and that of course increase unemployment in the economy.
Bamidele, how do we start explaining or breaking down some of these things to families where, before this conversation, you heard the Vox Pop where Nigerians are telling you that some of them can't afford 3 square meals a day. And then when we look at the whole farce around, subsidy, what they call this, palliatives, yes. If you look at palliatives, that has not necessarily created or had the sort of impact it should have, or cushion the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy on Nigerians. How do you start explaining this to an average Nigerian who cannot afford 3 square meals a day? How do you start explaining this to a father, a mother who perhaps had a certain budget for school fees, but right now it's looking like this school fees will be increased by a certain percentage, thereby distorting whatever financial plans that family may have had? How do you start explaining a situation where you go to the airport and then you want to take a flight from point A to point B as a result of the insecurity on our roads, and then the price of airfare increases astronomically? Now we're talking about VAT increases as well, though that is not happening immediately. How do you start helping Nigerians through this? The sort of impact it's going to have on Nigerians and their finances.
The impact is far-reaching, no doubt. But for individual, we still have to survive no matter what the challenge is. Managing costs is what everybody has to do now. Your disposable income has significantly been eroded. You can't live the kind of life you used to live, in as much as we desire that kind of life. But the fact is that you really cannot live that kind of life right now. Someone said, who said 3 is square? 3 is not square. Why should you take 3 square meals? Why can't you take 2? Why can't you take 1? Not because you don't want to take 2 or 3, but the fact is that people can survive on 1. So I'm saying
Bamidele,
yes.
Sorry, you're saying this with a high tone, and it may sound as though it may come off as though you sound dismissive.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm trying to say that, I'm in a situation. It's either I drown or I survive. Desperate situation requires desperate measure. Why pressure is being put on government to do what they need to do? It's also important we do what we need to do, because we need to survive. I'm just talking about the fact that we need to survive. So it's like, if I need to put my son in a school and the school is charging this and I can't afford it, I will change it. Because
all right, Bamidele, quickly, Bamidele, this is very interesting. We have a quick report on food inflation. Let's take that report and then we'll be back with you. Stay with us.
All right.
Food insecurity, safety, and malnutrition have become challenging for the Nigerian masses. The latest report from the International Rescue Committee, IRS, projected that around 60% of Nigerians would face severe food insecurity or hunger between June and August 2024. This has become particularly worrisome as food experts lament the inability of Nigerians to eat healthy food following the hike in food items.
As long as we cannot fix insecurity and farmers cannot go to farm, there will definitely be hunger in the land. So the government needs to deal with insecurity so that farmers can return back to the farm and then we have more food produce.
There is need to encourage more people to go into farming, and if you look at the current station of things, a lot of people are scared of going to the farm because of insecurity. So most of the farmers, they run back to their various homes or villages because they are scared of going to the farm.
Everywhere in the west, in the east, in the south, we should all be involved in agriculture. The people who have the rivers by them, the oceans, they'll be empowered to do a lot of fishing, have fishing farms, and then many more food will be produced.
According to food technologists, government should have invested in food processing, preservation, and addressing issues around infrastructure, lack of financing, poor electricity supply, and limited technology adoption. For them, it is not too late if policymakers are desirous of making food available for all.
Ensuring that we have, adequate safety, the right security into food processing is key for a sustainable life, and especially now that we are in the country today, the role of innovation in driving food forward and the role of science and technology in ensuring that we have safe food that can be easily consumed and also affordable in this current economy is very key for us to continue driving growth in the country.
The assurance that whatever food you are consuming is safe, is healthy, is qualitative and nutritious, wholesome food. So it's not just to eat, it's not just about eating, but eating healthy. There's a difference between eating and eating healthy. We must eat healthy because when you eat healthy, you stay healthy.
As you know, that providing food security is not only for NIPS, that is Nigerians of Food Science and Technology. It's a collective responsibility of government, all stakeholders, the respective ministries, and also our institutions.
I want to believe that our government are trying and making efforts, but they should make it easy for the food processing industries to be viable, the SMEs to be viable, make a friendly atmosphere for them so that SMEs can prosper in this country.
Nigerians were also enjoined to begin to pay attention and imbibe growing gardens where vegetables and all other little items can be planted for immediate consumption.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure, Mr. Bamidele, I'm sure you saw that report, and it was all about, food inflation and what's happening. And that brings, to mind the whole talk about diversifying Nigeria's economy, particularly using agriculture to drive food production, or they call it food security, to guarantee food security and all of that. The types of policy that we're seeing, do you think we have the right policy framework and and the commitment to be able to drive our agricultural sectors in such a manner that we can guarantee food security and of course halt food inflation as we currently have it?
That is one of the challenges. It's like you are having this problem and you are not seeing a lot of effort being made to be able to increase production of food items. One of the ministry that is not well funded in Nigeria is agricultural ministry, the Ministry of Agri. Ministry of Agri, BOA, Bank of Agri, they're supposed to fund a lot of agricultural activity. Even though government even created NISAL that is supposed to de-risk the agricultural sector. But the challenge is that there's no cohesion among these organizations to be able to get this job done. Do you know that we are having issue with with insecurity, no doubt, but the fact still remains that there are still parts of this country that insecurity is not as bad as it is. Why the government is taming insecurity in the part of the country that have those challenges? A report came out recently, I don't know if you saw that report, that talk about different areas, the level of insecurity in different areas and how much have been paid. There are a number of other parts of this country that are not as bad, that are not having those kind of challenges, that we can still support increase in the agricultural activity. I don't see a lot of that happening in Nigeria. because we are not able to increase the level of production. For example, one of the products, let me just take this product that I've had to work with in the past, soya beans. Now, soya beans have demand of about $90 billion in the export market. $90 billion. That's a major foreign exchange earner. Nigeria can produce soya beans, but do you know that Nigeria cannot export soya beans competitively because of the high cost of production locally? Those are the places a government can come in. The reason why farmers in Europe and America are able to do this thing competitively is because they have subsidy. That's why sometimes you see trade war among them. China banning their product, or China increased tariff on their product, because a number of these countries have to subsidize their farmers to be able to produce, so that the farmer can produce competitively, sell locally, and also export, generating foreign exchange. I'm not seeing a lot of that happening in the agri space. Agri space should be the area that should be rescuing us right now, such that even with the increase in the level of inflation, they are able to support agri to be able to produce at a cheaper rate. But that's not what we are seeing in our country.
All right, Bamidele, we want to thank you so much for the patience you've stayed and the passion with which you have added to this conversation. But as we gradually round up, I want to ask this. Now that we're talking inflation, because on food produce, which is definitely going to happen, it's almost inevitable, what should be the plan of government? Because I know government would want to avoid a situation where the entire country degenerates into a protest yet again, for whatever reason. So what should government do now that we have this reality? We're living with this reality of increased fuel products. What should government do to cushion the effects in the immediate, in the midterm and long term? What should be their practical solutions right now?
Because of the urgency of this, even though I do not support it, but you know, like I said, we need to survive. What the government is doing about importing food and removing duty on it is something that they need to extend. But we shouldn't do that at the expense of supporting local, because sincerely, some of these products within 3-4 months can grow. If we improve on irrigation system and support the farmer to be able to produce, we'll be able to cushion the effect of this in order to drive down their cost. But in the immediate, we need to bring in food, and government to subsidize it by removing what they've done, which is removing the tariff. And even if government had to support companies that will be able to bring it in en masse, in order to be able to get the market flooded at a reasonable rate, so that people at least can survive in these trying times.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Just before we let you go, Mr. Bamidele, again, I'm sure you are aware that there's a proposal from the Presidential Committee on Tax Reforms to jack up the VAT, that's the value-added tax, to 10%. Of course, there has been explanations about, indeed, it's essentially going to be on, some categories of products and services, premium products, if you like. This also, whichever way you look at it, will have some impact on Nigerians. What do you think?
As long as it's going to be on luxury goods and the people that will be paying it can afford it, no problem. As long as government wants to generate more revenue, increasing tax should not be a thing to do. But if it's going to be restricted to luxury goods or to products that people buying it are people that can afford it, if that will help the government to be able to get enough money to do what they need to do, I don't have any issue with it. I just feel it's ill-timed. Many people will not look at the fact that it's for luxury. The fact is that government is increasing taxes, and it's really not painting the government in a bad light. I think this can be diverted to sometimes in future. Let's deal with the current major issue we are having in order to be able to ensure that Nigerians at least are able to survive in this challenging time.
Earlier on, I asked my guests about the reality of multiple taxation as we have it now. If you go to an average local government, you will see all manners of uniforms. In fact, sometimes, even in Lagos, I used to ask myself, what uniform is this again? Like, I haven't seen this before. You see all manners of uniforms, all manners of, people collecting all manners of taxes from traders, from transporters, from all manners of people. And then you ask yourself, so what's happening to all of the talk about trying to consolidate and harmonize taxation such that, you know, local governments, state governments can get theirs directly from the joint account and all of that. So even if government goes ahead, you know, to jack up the VAT, which is of course another form of tax, how can government guarantee that, you know, at the lower levels, at the subnationals and the local government levels, they don't also try to follow suit to say, okay, look, we also need to raise our revenue?
You know, for the local government, for the consolidation, I know for federal government and state might be a lot easier. For the local government, I don't know how easy that will be, because some of these guys actually also use this as a way of exploiting. Maybe government has to provide a reporting mechanism, because if I'm not supposed to pay this tax and someone is asking me for it, there should be a way I can report them in order to be able to bring them to book and stop this from happening. At the local government level, I don't know how much of that. And considering the question your colleague has about the taxes, if you look at it now, this is a time also to slow down on this kind of tax on this lower rung of the ladder. People that are probably not even making enough to be able to survive, now they have to be taxed. I mean, the whole essence is for government to be able to raise money to help the community, right? Now the people don't even have enough to be able to feed themselves, let alone pay this tax, which also is the reason why people are not encouraged to pay this tax. Not to say they should evade tax, but rather probably it's a time to be able to give some tax break to this lower rung of the ladder in order to ensure that people are able to survive.